Focus. All right. Click the links for Odysee and Bit Chute, or to join the channel, become a member. Well, I guess the other YouTube channel, or support the channel through the various links. Definitely get on Discord. That place is going off. It's a good way to drop links and stay in touch. Okay, so I saw this article, and I've seen a few other articles like this, where you have the mainstream media is doing something that is a relatively new phenomenon, where they're pushing a narrative that is counter to all ration and reason. And I've seen this specific narrative pushed a few times in a couple other articles. One of them was written by a black author who said essentially the same thing. And you go through his articles, and I can post it. And he posts links to these stats that he's referencing. And you go to the links, and he posted 4 links. 3 out of the 4 links were dead links. They led nowhere. And the 4th link didn't say what he claimed it to say. It's just the most asinine assertion that someone could make. I mean, like bull-faced lies that are easily disproved with objective facts. And you read this kind of stuff, and you wonder, like, how does a media company, how do they publish this sort of thing? You realize they're not negligent. They're doing this with intent. This is the narrative. They know what they're doing. They're purposely disseminating falsehoods to push a narrative, an anti-white narrative. And that's a little bit of a burden for the normie to understand. Like, for the normie to really get this, like, oh, these people who run these media companies, they're doing something very evil. Like, a little bit of history repeating itself, I guess, which is as far as I can go for YouTube. But yeah, that's kind of what it boils down to. You get these articles that say white issues are haunting Asian Americans. And you're like, if you're familiar with any of the social media platforms, you can watch the YouTube videos, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all these videos of people attacking Asians. And in all those videos, or I'll say over 90% of them, you're just, it's not white people doing this. It's pretty clear who's doing this, especially the horrific acts of violence. I think there was one case where a white homeless guy tried to take a purse or something from an Asian woman, and it's like the media blows that up, but literally in 95% of the other videos, it's not white guys who are not doing the horrific acts of violence, who are actually deleting Asian people. It's the usual suspects, and the media is really light on that, which is a trick, because the Asian people are in this kind of quandary where the young ones are trying to be super, super woke, and they're trying to identify themselves as POCs. And the older ones are like, the POCs are the ones who are doing these say acts to us, and we need to address that issue. And no amount of pandering to the real POCs is going to stop them from doing these horrific acts of violence. So, for the Asians, they kind of need to pick a battle. Anyways, so you see these just insane articles by CNN and the mainstream media, and I mean, it doesn't, like, nobody buys this. There was an attack. It was an African attacked an Asian somewhere in Chinatown or something, and so Antifa goes to have a march against white people. That was the march against white people who think they're better than other people. It's like, but you just saw it was a black guy who killed an Asian man. White people have nothing to do with your equation. That's how, I don't know what they call that, gaslighting, where it's to that much of an extent of literally it's a African on Asian attack. It has nothing to do with people of European descent whatsoever. And so Antifa marches. That's like Pravda levels of where Russia was in the 50s and 60s. They were, you forecast the harvest returns. You say, okay, we're going to get so much return on the harvest, and then when the numbers come out, you change the numbers in the past. It's kind of like 1984, which is kind of like how Russia did a lot of this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, 35-gram chocolate ration this week, and then it's dips down to 30 grams. You're like, oh, we're increasing the ration from 25 grams to 30 grams. It's like, it doesn't matter that last week it was 40 grams and this week it's 35 grams. It doesn't matter, because if you control the narrative, you control the past, control the future. So I mean, this is the issue of people who are attacking Asians. I say, Asians need to pick a side. They are not comfortable doing that, but until they speak out against this stuff, and it's a weird situation. What happens is, like, Twitter will is they call it the number of impressions a story will get. So if something goes out on Twitter and it's an Asian reporter report on this kind of situation, it'll get like 10,000 impressions, which for Twitter is millions less than it should get. Where if it was a white on Asian attack, it would get like 100 million impressions. And so the only people who retweet this anti-Asian stuff are a few other Asian reporters, and you're talking like a half dozen of them are retweeting it, and each time they retweet it into the Twitter sphere, it's just not getting traction because nobody else is retweeting it. If you don't address a problem, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. And this is your problem right here. It's not white people. This is ridiculous. I saw a show on the mainstream media the other day, and the Asian guy's coming out and he's talking about this issue, sort of, and he starts talking about like in the 1850s. He literally starts his spiel talking about the 1850s. And like, buddy, if you really do not want to address the elephant in the room, you're just wasting everyone's time. But he feels better giving his little 1850s speech about the Irish and the Mexicans and the Chinese conflict in the 1850s when they're mining gold or something. Like, dude, why are you lying to us? I mean, it's not a lie so much as the deflection, but it's like you're just wasting everyone's time. You know what I know? It's like, would you like to talk about what's happening in the past 2 years? Because it's not the Irish and the Mexicans who are attacking Asians within the past 2 years. It's African-American men who are committing these horrific acts of violence. And until you address that, you're going to continue to get more and more of it. I mean, are you willing to die for political correctness? Because it seems like that's what the situation is. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. YouTube does not like these kind of videos, so go to Odysee and Bit Chute for the real news. And definitely get on Odysee anyway. It is a live streaming platform. It's monetized. There are live streams on Odysee every day now. Like, all the people who used to be on YouTube got kicked off, went to Odysee. And there are new people who are coming up, too, who realize, like, there are a lot of people who want to make social media, and they realize, like, oh, we could just never, there's nothing I could say on YouTube in a live stream without getting kicked off. It's like, oh, well, that's what Odysee is for. Anyway, I'll see you guys there.